Hi, everyone. Welcome to Presales Collective's Unscripted. Today's topic is when sales and pre-sales click, creating seamless customer journeys. I'll be your host today, Tom Josephson, and our guest today is Art Fromm. And a little bit about Art. Art helps sales organizations improve revenue, win rate, margin, and client satisfaction. In one single engagement with a client, they achieved a 28% increase in win rate and a 16% increase in revenue within 2 years after working with Art. With a career spanning engineering, software, pre-sales, sales leadership, and global sales enablement, Art, you've done everything.
Been around it. Wow.
Yeah. Art brings a rare end-to-end perspective on how deals are actually won. He founded Team Sales Development Inc. in 2009 with a focus on helping sales and pre-sales teams work together seamlessly, focusing on the buyer and stop losing to status quo and do nothing. And that's actually where we're going to start today. But Art delivers highly practical keynotes, seminars, and workshops grounded in real-world client outcomes, not theory. His work is built on over 2 decades of trusted client relationships and a results driven approach that equips teams to execute differently, improve performance faster, and sustain gains over time. And he shares it all in his best selling book, Making Seamless Sales. So, Art, it's wonderful to have you here today. And again, our topic is when sales and pre sales click, creating that seamless customer journey. So, I'm just going to keep it pretty broad, open it up to you. I want to hear your initial thoughts on our topic today.
Absolutely. And thanks so much to Presales Collective and for all of you that are listening either live or on the recording. And if you want to drop a note in the chat, I'm
Yeah.
sure that Courtney is watching that and she can maybe share that with us if you're on the LinkedIn Live. Yeah, so because of all the different experiences that I had, starting with being a customer of technology and experiencing sales, being sold to, when I
Yeah.
moved into sales and sales management roles, I already came with a good idea of what I would expect if I was being sold to. So it helped me in my career moving from pre-sales and ultimately running a pre-sales team. I think that's where I'd like to pick up in our short time today
Yeah.
is an experience that I had when I was running a team of pre-sales in the mid-central US. At the
Okay.
time, I was working for parametric technology, and we
Okay.
did enterprise lifecycle management. So imagine the most complicated things you could imagine. One of them was like a aircraft carrier, minesweeper, and a submarine, where we digitized the whole thing and had it all associative and all the bill of materials and everything, all 3D model and all the
Oh, wow.
all the information that goes with it for the product life cycle of it. Anyway, I was running the team and a new sales rep, Jerry Timmis, out of Grand Rapids. Well, the team was based out of Grand Rapids. Got a call from Jerry. And for those of you in pre-sales, you probably have gotten calls like this before. He's like, Art, I need you to get your team together. I need your A team to
Never
show
had
up. Yeah, never happened, right?
that.
Oh, but it gets better, right? And we only have one shot at this, and I need you to do a demo for this customer. Well,
Yeah.
now Jerry was kind of, new, and based on the experience that our team already had working together, we were like, okay, Jerry, tell us a little bit about it. And by the way, PTC is where Medic was born. So I kind of came in under the umbrella already of having some amount of dedication by the sales team to that, at least doing some qualification and discovery. So Jerry goes, well, here's the story. We got in late. The customer has already looked at three other competitors of ours, and we got in late. They are a $23 billion supplier of avionics to the aircraft industry. So right away, the eyes
Oh,
light up with that's a
yeah.
big opportunity. And by the way, this is in the year 2000. So in March of 2000 is when this happened. So I said, Jerry, and this is something everybody could use, is I go, Jerry, we'd love to go and do a demo for them, but tell
Yeah.
them it's going to take 2.5 days because that's what we're going to need to show everything. So let's narrow this down a little. What are we really trying to show? And
Yeah.
Jerry says, I'm not really sure. I said, well, can we please do some discovery and just ask them. And it's a help me help you. So let's tell them that the best way that we can help them out is by finding out what they're trying to do. So Jerry did set it up, and I'll make this short, and this is highlighted in the book, by the way, as well. So Jerry set the call up, and we met with, I think it was about, I remember about 9 or 12 people in their implementation group, and it was a few of us, and we started to do discovery. And this room had whiteboards all the way around it. And pretty soon
Yeah.
they went up. The client, the prospect, was up doing stuff with the whiteboard and all that, and telling us what they're doing, showing us their processes and everything. And we were getting great information. A little while into our meeting, the door happened to be open, and a person stopped into the room, which we later found out. And well, he introduced himself, and he wound up being a key part of this. His name was Robert Mills, and he was the CIO and CTO of Smith's Industries, this $23 billion aircraft. So he comes in and he looks at what's going. He goes, "What's going on?" Well, they said we're meeting with PTC, and they're going through some of our workflows and things to see where they can help us improve our processes per our internal initiative that we're in the middle of trying to figure
Yeah.
out how to proceed. And he goes, "Oh, that's cool." And he goes over and he starts looking, and he sees one whiteboard, and he brings a marker and he goes, "This part here, that's not so important, team. That one can wait. This one right here," he goes over to another, he goes, "This one is what we really want to focus on." After a minute or so, he leaves, goes down the room, and we continued. Long story short, we won that deal. We
Yeah.
came in late. We wound up winning it all because of the discovery. And Robert Mills, you know, became a key part of the success of that. So one thing I want to pose as a quick question, and we'll dig into, how did this happen and why did it happen so successfully? When Robert Mills walked by, if we had done what Jerry, and by the way, Jerry is fully on board with this. He was on my live talk radio show in September when we were recounting this, now
Oh,
25
okay.
years later. 25 years later, we're talking about it. So if Robert Mills had walked by and we did what Jerry said, which was, "Hey, do a demo, got to show up," and we were just doing our demo, and
Yeah.
this team of people is sitting there probably like this, like wondering, what are they doing? Why are they doing this? And he sees them. There's probably two things that Robert Mills could have done. He
Yeah.
could have kept walking right by, or he could have come in and said, "What are you all doing? It looks like you're wasting your time."
Yeah.
Instead, he wound up being key to the whole thing. It wound up being something, I don't know the exact number and I probably can't share it anyway, but let's just say it was into the seven figures for
Wow.
the initial deal. And a lot of that was consulting. And you know what I found out on the podcast that I do with Jerry in September,
What was that?
just last year? He said they are still a customer of Parametric Technology to this day,
Wow. Wow.
25 years later. So I'm like,
Wow.
what a pivotal moment where it could have gone sideways for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
I'll
and
leave
it
that
actually,
there from that. What do you think?
yeah, no, I love that. And I want to, that actually, that's a really interesting point. And the discovery seems really critical to this. And like when you're doing that discovery, how do you start to craft that customer journey? And that's the first part of my question. And then I have a second part, but we'll get to that in a moment. But
Yeah.
how, as from an SE perspective, how do you start to craft that customer journey in that discovery? What are some of the things that you're looking for?
Yeah, so we did, and we had been doing this even when I was just a SE, because I came in as a principal SE and I had done the SE role previous to this as well. And so what my team and I would do is we did what we call basically a process audit. Now, these are big deals. Obviously, this is huge enterprise deals, but it can be scaled down to just in a phone call or just a Zoom meeting. Is that finding out what is their process? What are they doing today? Because there's a reason that they would have contacted you. There's a reason that they're trying to see the demo. There's some as is condition that's not sufficient, and
Yeah.
there's a to be condition they want to arrive at. And mostly that's going to revolve around the flow of information or the flow of their client interactions or the way that they make their products or whatever your customers are doing. So asking them about their processes and where they see the issues in it. And that's why they went up to the whiteboard because we wound up with, it was funny, I was just refreshing my memory before this. We had this really complicated view of their change management process, as you can imagine in a big company like that for DoD contracts and all kinds of aerospace and defense stuff, very complicated. So we asked them that, and we'd come up with what we called a process audit where we summarized that form. Now, it was for our purposes to understand where our insertion points are, where can we overlap their needs with our solution, but it was also to give back to them and show, number one, that we were listening. Number two, we were on their page. And number three, it was value add for them because a
Yeah.
lot of times they don't even get the chance to look at it that way. And now we provide it to
Yeah.
them. So that's a place to start. And people love talking about their stuff typically. So find
Yeah.
out what they're doing and what they're, what they want to try to improve.
That's great. That's great. I love that. Like people like talking about their stuff. And one of the things that we talked about is getting sales and pre-sales to click. In that conversation, how do you bring sales into the fold to, again, build that customer journey?
Yeah, so Jerry, being new, it was a little bit easier. And so, first of all, you want to find somebody who's more open to it. Many of you out there, and many sales folks that might be listening too, have figured out the way to do it. And usually, unfortunately, it's just at an individual self-motivated level. It's not necessarily something the organization supports. And that's a problem, frankly. But those sales folks that are doing excellent and SEs that have had great sales people as their partners know how to do it. And at some level, it's very simple. It's a help me to help you. So
Yeah.
pre-sales is helping, and this is a partnership. It's not a subservient or any type of anything other than being a partner at the same, level, is pre-sales has the ability to find things out that sales can't because sales is not inherently trusted. The
Yeah.
client sees sales as trying to sell something.
Yeah.
So while Jerry was all excited and all that, if he had just gone in and do a demo, they'd probably be, yeah, that's a typical salesperson. We'll go with one of the other competitors we were looking at, one of our competitors that they were looking at. Instead, what we did was appeal to Jerry, and especially being new, is, hey, Jerry, let's convince them. So there was a little bit of selling of the customer to say, we could show you stuff, but we might not matter. Help us to help you. So we, as a provider, help you as the customer to see what really matters to you. And to do that, we need to find a little bit out. And
Yeah.
in great demo, we talk about, the whole thing with the doctor and asking the right questions.
Right.
Sure, you're on
Prescribing.
the right page. Exactly. So
Yeah.
then the other help me help you, everybody, is as a SE or pre-sales organization and SE managers, and at the time I was a SE manager, how we help sales to do what they want to do. Sales is trying to close the deal to meet quota, and what can we do together to make that happen? So we can help Jerry to succeed. Together, we can help the client to succeed, and then it becomes a win-win-win outcome. I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah, I really appreciate that because what you're doing is you're basically selling to them. I have this I tell people once you hit a certain point in your career as an SC, especially when you move into enterprise sales, you're doing more selling internally than you are externally. You're selling
Mhm.
your ideas, your process to the sales leaders. And I love how you do that. I love that approach. Help me help you and
Mhm.
convincing them like we're working on this together. Help me get there. What are the expectations you have of sales again in that discovery session to again arrive at that customer journey?
Mhm. Well, and I would broaden it not just to sales, implying maybe a person, but it's really anything that happened left in the buying process. And what ultimately we're enabling is we're enabling a buying process. We
Yeah.
just happen to be the sellers, right? But we're
Yep.
really enabling buying. So whatever happened to the left, whenever we get engaged in the buying process, and that starts with automation. So if you have demo automation or any type of marketing automation, what did this client say? What did they do? How did they interact with us? We know from studies that buyers usually are doing a lot of
Yeah.
investigation before they engage us. So what happened? In this case, Jerry was able to fill us in that, there was these competitors. He did have an in with another different person in the organization. So that person was able to just fill us in on what the project nature was. So at a minimum, we've got to know what is the client's goal? And the goal is not a demo. That's
Yeah.
not the goal. The goal is not even to buy something or to commit to something. The goal is to achieve some kind of personal or business outcome. So the salesperson should be responsible for finding that out and then bringing in the pre-sales resource early enough that you can work as a tag team. I'm truly believe, and I've experienced this, the client will tell us as pre-sales, if you're in a pre-sales position, they will tell you almost anything, just like your
Yeah.
bartender. The
Yeah.
bartender, people tell the bartender, their hairdresser, anything. Let's utilize that in a positive way for win-win because the salesperson, they won't tell them that. So
Yeah.
the pre-sales person, the team, the SE, the SC can be the secret weapon. I don't like to call it weapon, but the secret
Yeah.
sauce for the salesperson to collaborate together and truly go all the way across from the highest level of the pyramid. And here's Robert Mills, a CTO and CIO that walked into the room all the way to the people that are implementing. And it's our job to cover that whole spectrum as a tag team. And there's different places that we can interact and make sure that we're intersecting on business need above all else.
Yeah, yeah, I really like that. It's you said a bartender or hairdresser. I've likened it to sometimes it's a therapy session.
Yeah.
If you get the right
Oh, yeah.
people, they're telling you everything that is wrong,
Hmm.
and I like to think about that because they tell you everything that's wrong, and then that helps you craft that story, that vision of or at journey of
Hmm.
what you're going to try to pitch to them. So
Yep.
I love that. The other thing is I always say the SC is a wolf in sheep's clothing. They trust us. They trust us. They think, they see the salesperson as threatening a lot of times because
How about if we're the genie in the bottle, maybe?
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want to
I
be
mean,
the wolf, right? But I hear what you're saying.
yeah, yeah. They give us a level of trust that they don't otherwise give to sales, and I think a lot of that comes from that division of sales, especially when you get to the pricing and negotiation,
Mhm.
having a clear delineation because then it becomes I wouldn't say antagonistic, but it'd be there is a level of antagonism in there. So we are kind of in that unique position where we can remove ourselves from that. Yet we are
Yeah.
still sales.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of that, the more that we can do together up front, first of all, we can qualify in and qualify out. Normally, a
Yes.
salesperson thinks of qualification. As pre-sales, there's a big job that we have, which is what I call finding and managing risk to the deal. So
Yeah.
because we're the ones that can hear everything and the client will usually tell us everything, we can sense things the salesperson can't. They're
Yeah.
usually either a little bit removed or they get a little bit of a different story. So a great collaboration between pre-sales and sales is you trust each other enough that you are willing to hear each other out. And it's not, Jerry, I don't agree with this. It's Jerry, I see this. What are you seeing? Because there's some
Yeah.
difference here. And if we can
Yeah.
help both the salesperson and the client and our company and ourselves avoid running into a brick wall, that's good for everybody. So let's not kid each other that it's going to be perfect. So
Yeah.
that's a key thing that we can do, and that's going to go to the win-win-win also.
I love that. That actually gets to a practice that I have, which is, even when you have like Gemini or Gong taking notes, I always like to get the rep to take notes and I'll take notes and compare it and
Yes.
seeing where there's discrepancies because there's almost always discrepancies and it's a good discussion point. And if you have the relationship with the rep, you can have a great discourse to figure out, okay, what is the actual customer journey that's going to land with them? How do we
Yeah.
pull this together? And that's what I found works really, really well for me. And almost every deal where I've done that, there is something that they heard differently or they interpreted differently, and we have to sit there. And I'm not always right, to be clear. A
Yeah.
lot of times they have context that I don't, and I'm
Mhm.
misreading it.
Yeah.
And that's why I always like, all right, we both take notes, and we have a note taker in there. We can compare these things. It's a little bit of extra work, but it produces a much stronger customer journey.
Yeah. We do have that luxury now to have that, but
Yeah.
don't rely on it. And I would say
Yes.
three main takeaways from this experience is definitely communication and open communication as partners.
Yeah.
Number two, the help me help you. Both help me to help the client, help me to help you as the sales rep. It's a collaborative engagement. And then discovery is key. And I would maintain that whatever we find out, even the sales rep finds out in qualification, that's all key things for discovery because it should be things like is there a business need there? what is their time frame and can we address it in that time frame? And who are the key stakeholders?
Yep.
So those are three key things. And if you don't mind, I want to just read a quote that's at the back of the book. So this is the book, Making
Yeah.
with Sales. And here's a quote from Jerry when I wrote this book, and I reconnected with him in like 2024 in preparation for writing this book. Real quick, the Smith's industry story in the book, for which I was the sales rep, was an engagement that would be hugely formative, resulting in a green account manager becoming a seasoned sales executive with Oracle and Salesforce.
Oh,
So
wow.
Gary really sees that experience as pivotal to his career as well. And it's
That's
what prompted
wonderful.
me to write the book now 25 years later, capturing all this knowledge and information I have and love to share it so I can help you do what you want to do.
I love it. I love that. And we're about at time. Are any parting thoughts or parting wisdom you'd like to leave with our audience today?
Don't let your silos or the apparent differences between sales and pre-sales stop you from developing those relationships at an individual level. Your company may be organized separately. You may be trained separately. You might not get everything that you want, but you know what? We all can have a personal initiative to make this happen. And using things like the resource of the pre-sales collective, my book, which has an activity worksheet that goes with it. Find somebody you could partner with and start using that and try with sales reps that are very open because once they see what you could do, they will want to do more. And that's going to be better success for everybody. More margins, increased margin win rate, and your personal success and the success of your company.
I love it. I love it. And that's ultimately what we're working towards. And that's why we build those seamless customer journeys. With that, Courtney, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. And have a lovely weekend and actually, a lovely long weekend for most of us. Thank you,
Yes. And
Art.
thanks, buddy. Take care and appreciate everybody that joined live and is watching.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, y'all. See you next week on our next Unscripted.
So,
See ya.
thanks.